She was very rude with it too.
Let's get
All
it.
right, we recorded.
All right. Part 2. Wade on It podcast. Welcome everybody here, man, on YouTube, man. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, alert button when we have new content coming out, man. And this is part 2, man, of the culture series for Black History Month. Today we're talking about where we are now. We have our panel is full of knowledgeable Black people who got degrees.
Nice.
Got degrees. I'm gonna start off with the highest ranking one on here. I would call it educational field. I'm gonna call him Dr. Christopher Pugh. But he's just a regular guy, man, who got student loans. All right, welcome, Mr. Pugh or Dr. Pugh. I'm sorry.
Man. Hey, thank you, man.
I'm gonna go to the top here. Remy Eason, self-made man, entrepreneur, doing his thing in the electronic world. We're gonna leave it like that. That's good enough. Salute to you. Okay, all right. T Baby, extraordinaire.
Thank you.
Everything. Host, is a celebrity in Thomasville, Georgia, 229. A lot of views, a lot of things. She can preach also. So if you need a blessing or prayer,
Thank you.
please hit her. And last but not least, my LB line brother, engineer, got lots of money. He's African, but he does not scam. Okay, it's legit money. It's legit money, and he's here to bring y'all here. He's here to give y'all some good word. All right. So welcome all y'all here. Hopefully you have a good
all money legit if you got it.
Good show tonight.
That is true.
How y'all feeling tonight before we get started though? Before we dive off into this.
Best day of my life, man. Best day of my life.
Oh,
She said,
today was a really good day. Like I'm ready for the week. It's been good. Any Valentine's plans for you guys?
Stay within budget. That's
Okay.
pretty much it.
picking up a public rotisserie chicken. And
Yeah. Because I ain't gonna lie to you, ain't nothing worse than still trying to prove you love somebody you're gonna have to wake up to the next day. You still proving
Oh
it.
my God.
You ruined it. If you're still proving it, that means you ain't in it.
there you
Oh
go.
wow.
We already
You gotta
giving out
prove you
gems.
love.
We already giving
You
out
gotta
gems.
prove you love. You ain't in love if you proving you love. I'm sorry. I can
What?
reiterate it. I'll reiterate the love. I can't prove it.
Oh.
Welcome everybody that's in the chat. Tag people if they're not in here. Tag them, tell them to get in here quick.
At people who in jail, they
Yes.
live stream. They Wi-Fi good.
Tag all the inmates. I know they in here.
Oh, shut up.
All right, man, let's get into it, man. We're going to talk about where we are now. And we're going to start off with the first topic. And we're going to talk about how has the single parent dynamic in the Black community affected us today? How has it affected us? And I guess I'm going to go to start from the bottom. And now we're here. Who I'm last introduced. Let's go with Bio.
Last, all right, here we go.
I mean, I introduced you last, so I was going to start with you.
I know. All right, personally, in my opinion, like I like to keep it short at the beginning. I would say the single parent dynamic, and I would say in our community has affected us in a way that is creating an unbalanced type of childhood to male and females who are growing up. It takes away having the man and female in the house and actually giving that guided look of what a family dynamic look like. So what happens is you have younger kids growing up into becoming adults who are basically, I'm not gonna say making up, but in a way putting false realities on what a family is because they've never seen one. So what happens is that you go and you're gonna find the experience in different avenues as far as media, television, social media, but you're actually trying to formulate something that you never experienced. So in a sense, I would say when you grow up in a single parent family, you are imbalancing that child to an experience, number one, that they never will receive and they never have received. But with the good part about it, they can create their own, find a partner getting older, they can create and find a partner and create their own family, which is not impossible, but it does come with some handicaps, even educational wise. I'll get more into that later.
Opening word. Remy, what you think?
I think the single parent household kind of shows like so the single parent household, just it has so many dynamics. You have those mothers who are raising sons that overcompensate or may not, or undercompensate, try to invoke a level of masculine energy that so their sons don't exhibit feminine traits. And then you have those who coddle their sons, and nothing that they do is wrong. They tell them that they tell them things like, "Oh, that's my boyfriend," or "You're 7 years old and you're the man of the house," or different things like that, which with no example. And then to lead them to not have accountability. A lot of times, those women are just trying to make ends meet or surviving, and then the trauma in between surviving and trying to learn how to raise a child, and then at the same time growing up themselves, ends up putting that child in a space of they don't necessarily like the phenotype of femininity that they see. They're not going to dislike their mother, but they're moving forward in relationships, display toxicity in different areas that shouldn't be there if they had a male and a female in the home. Just because, and then you also have spaces where not being married or not being married doesn't necessarily dictate if a father is a great father or not. There's just so many dynamics in that space. A lot of those women don't raise sons that they would date. And I'm not speaking about as far as an Oedipus complex, but I'm speaking about as far as instilling values and different things that would make that son as a man, that woman be proud of who they are as they matriculate through life. So it goes back to the Willie Lynch letter, and like we spoke about in the first meeting about the art of war. We take the father out the home, then there's no protector, and then it sets up the bottomless pit of no protector generations because you have no example and no reference point.
Okay, let me see what baby, what you got on that first question. Opening thought.
Well, I am a product of a 2-parent home. My parents were married and they planned for me and my sister, and it was very balanced in our home. My dad, he was the head, mama was the neck. She helped turn the head. The dynamic of the family structure in the Black community is not the best now. It is, but back then it wasn't either. But it depends on, how you're raised. And I had friends that were in single parent homes that I didn't even know, because when I grew up, my parents didn't expose me to many single parent homes. My mother and father had friends that were married, so that's what we knew, and we were in church all the time. That's just the dynamic we knew. Mama and daddy married. I had a best friend through elementary school, didn't have a clue she didn't have a daddy. I just thought she had 2 parents, and come to find out in middle school, that's when, all the kids kind of integrate from all the elementary schools. Then you get different friends and you realize, okay, such and such, mama got a boyfriend, but this week, such and such came over there. Or, you hear the conversations that your friends come and say, well, my mom got a new boyfriend and she talking to some. And I'm not going to lie, those kids were a bit different because they saw things at home and they were exposed to things kind of earlier. And I didn't get exposed to stuff like that. So I kind of grew up a little green. And which in my 30s now, early 30s, you end up dating men that come from single parent homes that they view their mother as doing everything. I didn't see my mama do everything because my dad was there. He was a provider. My mother was the nurturer. She took care of the things in the home. Yes, my mama worked, but my dad was that role of the provider. So you date men and they feel like the woman's supposed to do everything. I saw my mama do it. She was strong. She did everything. You act like you don't want to do this. You don't want to do that, huh? I ain't come from that. So that's hard trying to adjust from, this man got a totally different background from you. And y'all trying to merge together and it ain't clicking. It's not, because he's viewed something different. You viewed something different. And like Remy said, like, it's some mothers that coddle their sons. And you the man of the house, and they feel like they don't have to do nothing, but you still got to respect them because they're the man of the house. No, sir. Not over here. You got to do something over here. I know your mama had you claiming you was the king and you was all of this at age 7. But now over here, you got to work. You got to provide.
And that right there is the reason why we're in this space. That's why we have this they've labeled as the black female civil war.
Wait, let me get Dr. Pugh here first before we dive into a little bit more. I got everybody's first word. I gotta hear from the Dr. Pugh here.
My bad.
No, you good. You just want to get everybody here, make sure they speaking. Chris, what you got for
you good? You good? No, man, I appreciate everybody's point. One thing I want to share is something that I've learned and I'm continuously learning right now, is that there can be a 2-adult home and still a single parent home, because you have some people that are physically there, but the parenting aspect is null and void, and it can be male or female, right? So one thing I had to find out when I talk to teachers, some of them are actually thinking that some kids are okay because they got a mother and father inside the home. But then I said, well, if you're making an assumption that that kid is getting support at home, you could be causing a disservice. You see what I'm saying? So you got a lot of people who come from 2-parent homes, and then everybody in the school assumes that you got it, and they will overlook you when you come to the school. So that means, put like this, I found out that you got some kids with 2 adult households, single or no parent households, come to school, get neglected, then go home and get neglected. That's how you see a lot of them in the streets. Have y'all seen a lot of them, a lot of kids that come from good backgrounds, you still see them try to act hard and tough? It's because they're being neglected and rejected in every way because everybody assumes they got it all. So one of the most loneliest things that a kid can go through is not having anything, and then everybody trying to convince you that you got everything. So now you start dealing with mental health. Like, am I crazy? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm pretty sure my father don't even speak to me. My mother always yelling at me. I know kids that are dealing with that. The father don't even speak to them, and the mother only thing she does is yell. So they still don't even have.
Or they both are absent.
That's my point. Yeah. So like some of them are physical. So some people, I won't even call it old school. Some people know what they know, right? And they don't know what they don't know. Some people think parent means I'm gonna go to work, the water running, and the lights on, and the roof don't leak.
Right.
Some people literally think some people think that's what parenting is, and that's just being a responsible adult to pay taxes. That means you're really good at finding shelter. Like, you know what I mean? That doesn't mean that doesn't mean you know how to, emotionally support a child. And one thing everybody may not know how to articulate is children are extremely vibe oriented. Children know when they're not wanted, regardless. I don't care if you say good morning, but if you say good morning in a certain way, they know you don't want them there. You see what I'm saying? And I tell some kids all the time, and the kids that I'm trying to interact with, some of them don't know how to respond unless you yell. which is telling about how people have interacted with them for so long. So when we start dealing with single parent household, and one of the things that Bio was talking about, man, which I totally agree, is that a lot of people may not understand the balance of a household, right? And we all got masculine, and men have masculine, or just masculine and feminine energy is needed. All of us have both of those types of energies in us. But I'm gonna put it like this: when children are in the room with both parents, they feel evened out. They have an even vibe to themselves. I don't care if they ain't even talking. For them to know that both parts of them are in the same room or or actually in the same house. Like I was telling my homeboy, like I grew up with a 2-parent household, but I experienced divorce. That's one thing a lot of people don't understand. Starting over 2-parent household and then transitioning into a single parent household. What is that like? Because now you're looking at the game a little different. And some young men were a boy, but now they're the man, which is a totally different ball game. You see what I'm saying? So now we're looking at so many different, I would say, aspects of this stuff that when we say single parent household, I think it's going to be beneficial, not only for me to be so clear about what I'm talking about, because there's so many different elements to this thing. I would say the intent of why we brought the child there. We got some people there are only bringing children into this world for leverage purposes only. I got to say that. Some people are bringing children in for a relationship. Some people are bringing children in the world for money. Some people are bringing children in for horrendous reasons, just being honest with you. And the children are finding out about it, and that's what we're dealing with. Children, you don't have to tell a child right now. We don't verbally have to tell them they're not wanted. A lot of people are just showing them, and they believe in them, and that's the reason why they're taking it out on the world. So the single parent household, we're going to find that we need to find out so many different levels to this thing, because if we don't fix it, it's going to fix us. Straight facts.
Wow. I had a question I want to pose to everyone. I got everybody open their thoughts on it. I just want to ask, how did we get to this point? How did we get to it being from our grandparents and even, I won't even say our parents, but most of our grandparents being together 50, 60 years, staying together, raising kids, divorce rate. Of course, people were getting divorces or separating still then, even then. Let's not go there, but the rate it is now was not there. You have some women that feel as though I'm gonna have a child, I don't need a man. I mean, they're financially stable, they can raise a child. And I come from a single mother. So I want to know how did we get here? What happened? Anyone can Bio? Okay, go ahead.
So me personally, like I said, I started, that was one of the biggest things I had to read about was how did we get here? One of the things that's positives and negatives to actually how we got here. One of the biggest reasons that we have to talk about is financial right and financial, like it says, financial leverage. One of the biggest things that happened in our community, as we always talk about, grandma and grandpa was together 40, 50, 60 years. But a lot of times, a lot of people never really talk to their grandparents about their relationship. They assume that they seen them together for 50, 60 years and assume that everything was great. It was not love. Talk to your grandparents. People who still have them, talk to them. Not saying that they hated each other, but there was a need for each other back then. The need over the years has been lost. And like I said, it came with rights and it came with privileges for everybody. So now we're at a point in our lives that we have rights and choices to make that we actually can live independently of each other. Now, is it valuable? No, but we have that option now. Like I said, you can meet a woman who makes twice as much as you do. So at the end of the day, yes, a joint income household could be a great benefit for the family, but like you said earlier, they don't need you. So now at the end of the day, what causes more of the division is we have to talk about traditions and culture also. The culture shifted. We want to talk about drug culture, music culture, just the overall Black image culture. Well, image of everybody, actually, cultures change because white, Black, Asian, they are getting divorced at a higher rate than before. But we're going to focus on Black people. As far as the image culture is what's happening, that's hurting our children. One thing me and you talked about yesterday, we talked about why are our Black daughters being raised to be so successful and our sons are not. As I said before, a young little boy can say, I want to be a boss when I grow up. They're like, all right, cool, yeah, do your own business. But if your daughter tells their father, Mom, I want to be a boss when I grow up, it's, yeah, babe, you can do it. You can do it, go to the world, make your money. Like I said, a lot of us are raising our kids, like I said, single parent household, you're raising your kids to be more independent than you. And that's something we don't talk about also. You have people in 2-parent households raising that child to be super independent of the entire war. So when they get to a point they don't know how to rely on anybody and they try to do everything themselves, they're gonna feel a partner also is not needed. In the moment somebody messes up and make one mistake, they're kicking them to the curb. They're not learning what grace is also. But that's my spiel. I mean, we can talk about the culture and social media, different things also. We'll get into it later, but I'm gonna let everybody speak.
Well, I talked to my grandmother. She's 89. She and my grandfather were together for 50 years. My grandmother married my grandfather because she wanted to get out the house. My grandma, my great grandparents were very strict. Yeah. So she was 13, 14. She said, I got to get the hell up out of here. So it wasn't like, okay, I love this man. Yep. No, it was, I need somebody, and this is my ticket out of here. Absolutely. So they together. About 5 years later, you know, my granddaddy kind of worried. He thinking that my grandma can't give him no kids. Back then, a man was a man when he had a family. Here you got a 19-year-old girl ain't bearing you no children. Y'all been together since y'all been about 14, 15, something going on. So they took her to the doctor. Bam, he give her something. A year later, here comes my dad. First child. So my great-grandmother took on my dad, like, oh, y'all some kids. Y'all ain't finna raise this baby. I'm finna raise it. So my daddy, the oldest out of 7 of his brothers and sisters, he goes off with his grandma. My great-grandma done raised him, did everything. My grandma and granddaddy, they steady having kids. 6 kids later. My daddy can't even remember the other half of his brothers and sisters being born. But my grandma stayed pregnant, having kid after kid. Okay, the kid's grown. Now what's up? My grandma was working 2 jobs, working all the time. My granddaddy was home. He was doing like yard work and stuff like that. He wasn't like doing real work. My grandma worked at the bread factory in Thomasville, Flowers Bakery. So she out there, you know, she the breadwinner of the family. A lot of people did not know that. But that was a factor because I don't think they actually were in love. They grew to love each other. But that's how, okay, what are you raised off of? Love or survival? My grandma raised her family off of survival. It wasn't love first. So you are right, Baya. We do need to sit down with our grandparents and figure out how did they become a family? A lot of people think, okay, love is there. Sometimes love ain't there first.
But one thing about that survival, if you get up and you keep doing something every day, you'll love it after a while. Because you don't have a choice. Right. And when you say I do, that means you will. Mm-hmm. So it's a choice that you make every day you wake up. I'm married to this person, or I'm in a relationship with this person. I think it's in Matthew in the Bible. It says, you're already bound or married to that person. Uh-huh. When you in your mind before you ever have a ceremony or whatever. But the actual covenant or the institution of marriage is no longer important. Okay. So many men are scorned because you feel like you could break your back for this person, and you put them on this pedestal and you do everything, you give everything you got, and then they say they don't want to do it no more and they leave with half. So a lot of men don't even want to get married anymore.
A lot of women too now. Not forget the women.
Well, this country is built
off. Once upon a time was that girl that didn't want to get married. I'm not gonna lie.
But this is the problem with that. Every other race but us comes to this country and they're married. This country was built off of families and clans. You understand what I'm saying? The institution, the surname, you take the man's surname because that family name is what is wrote in the book. And that's why the taxes are joint taxes. And like this country is built off. That's how you pass wealth through the family. You don't pass wealth through independence. You know what I'm saying? So that is a ploy to keep us separate and keep us from producing, is to destroy the family.
Okay.
We can't have any institutional wealth if there's no families. If you don't know where you come from, then how the hell are you gonna stake your claim and state your name to the American dream?
Mm. Mm.
Chris.
First of all, how did we get to this spot? That's a very loaded question. So I'll go historically a little bit. When we started seeing when our households were married, first, I agree with several of the panels. What they said was being in a loving relationship is one thing. Entering in marriage is a business move. You see what I'm saying? And what a lot of people may not understand is that anytime when there's a covenant, there's a contract. Anytime when there's a contract, it's a business, period. You know what I mean? So we can have an emotion. That emotion will help us stay in business, but the emotion is not the reason why we went into business. Does that make any sense? So it's almost like, yeah. So like what you just said earlier, this country was based off, people had to have a foundation and some type of I would say base to build off of, man. And a lot of people don't understand that, you know, when they come down to labor force, children were the main labor force. So marriages were beneficial to have children under one household to till the land and make sure things happen so you can start passing it down through your bloodline so you can create a legacy. That's what a lot of people may not understand, the structure of families, not necessarily the right or wrong one, but how families were in the last couple of 100 years based off what I've been told and what I've read. You see what I'm saying? So depending on different cultures, they may be different. However, when we start talking about our grandparents, man, when we start digging into the history of how they were set up and some of the things that they did and had to endure, but they kept that family together no matter what. I mean, see, a lot of people start talking about their happiness, and I'm finding out our happiness ain't the top priority all the time. Happiness is an emotion. I'm so serious. Like, happiness is so dangerous that something has to happen for you to be happy. It ain't worth it all the time. Sometimes you just got to make a decision, be accountable, and do the work. Then, just like you said earlier, man, if you're consistent enough, some happiness will come your way if you're a consistent adult. That's what a lot of people mean. Exactly. So, and I'm put like this: we're so like look at the pandemic, man. Our emotions are up and down. You see what I'm saying? If we make a decision every time we experience an emotion, we will be some of the most inconsistent people on the planet. Some people need consistency, especially our children. See, that's the thing. When you coming home and you don't even know who's gonna be there, it's hard to feel like you're a stable person. You see what I'm saying? And it's nothing like a child knowing what he got at home or she got at home, so they know what to put out into the world. If you got to figure out the world and your home, you're gonna be confused at a certain extent. If you got to figure out the world and you got to figure out your household, man, ain't no telling what you're gonna have to go through.
I mean, that's the same thing with God. If you got to fight the world, got to get out in the world and fight, then you got to come home and fight.
It's chaos everywhere. That's the reason why some of these kids are so upset. It's chaos everywhere. And the only thing they're doing is responding to the chaos. And one thing that I had to really just come to grips with, we have to start admitting that our households, our families were destroyed by warfare. Now, let me ask you, let me just bring this up real quick. In warfare, what do people usually do to clans and tribes? Don't they separate the men and women?
Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Don't they take the women and children and put them pretty much into slavery and make them dependent and kill off the men?
Yep.
Okay. So what happens is we have pretty words like civil rights movement. What actually happens is a continuation of several wars that were happening. It just ended up being on TV and suits and ties and church bombings. Anytime when there are bombings, that's warfare, period. Well, this is why I want everybody to hear me, man. Our family, we didn't just start not liking each other, man. We were getting blasted on. We at least got to admit that. You see what I'm saying? You got people coming outside. You got people coming outside seeing their daddy hanging from a tree in front of their house, and they have to move from state to state. Got to move up north. Think about this now. You got men who were looked at a certain way. They had to leave the side of the country to make sure their children don't get murdered. These are the stories I'm hearing from men who are 80 and 90 years old. Now, I had to leave my family because I was ran up out of town. Why? Well, some dude, his wife said something, and they showed up at my house 10 deep with rifles and said, "Look, your family, you gonna have to
Not
get up
only
out of
that,
here."
I was just too big of a man. Like my granddaddy was 7'4". He had to leave.
Yeah. Yes. And see, remember, retreating is not that you're a deadbeat father. Sometimes retreating is an act of war for survival. And so a lot of people love this narrative that, and trust me on this, and Bio said this earlier, and I wanted to reiterate this. Whoever control your image can eventually control your imagination.
Yep.
Wow.
We don't own the media. Our image has been owned by other people since, I don't know, since somebody started drawing caricatures of us.
Walt Disney.
If you really start looking at Birth of a Nation, when you start looking at how we depicted in movies and just the news, having a black man in your household is damn near dangerous.
But the first thing, even with Jesus, like the first, if I tell you that if the only thing I give you is God, and your God is white, then anything white is right.
Right.
Exactly.
And that's the thing I talked about it before, as far as the image of our culture, man.
Mhm.
Our image of our culture is so distorted, is that
It's so tainted.
Yeah, it's so tainted that, like I said, even simple images of seeing a black man in a suit or a tailored suit or being clean gives people the opportunity to get finessed by them also. And I tell you that goes back in certain ways. That's why, honestly, like we talking about the culture today, people ask, why is Kevin Samuel so popular? It's the image he gives off of. He's a black man in a well-tailored suit who looks well-dressed, who looks clean. You can't. So when people see somebody like that, they're going to listen to them. And it's happened for years and years. A lot of imagery can trick your mind as far as, like I said, as far as controlling your thoughts in your mind. The images we put out here today, honestly, when it comes to the family structure, it can be very damaging. And there's people that we should have went after that we don't go after. There's certain things that we should have stopped a long time ago from people putting out certain images that look like us, because people fail to realize they use people who look like us to put thoughts and images in our mind, because we will believe us before we believe anybody else. Even though people say, it's hard to do business with black people, but at the end of the day, when you walk to a gas station and see a whole bunch of black people, there's a little bit, sometimes you feel a little bit of comfort than if you walk to a gas station and see a whole bunch of white people. So at the end of the day, so at the end of the day, when you don't own something and people want opportunity, they can use you, people who look like you, to put out an image out there that you can actually believe. So that's why I tell people all the time, a lot of stuff ain't really what you see on TV. A lot of stuff you can find out, man. A lot of truth is in books, man. And I'm glad I found it, but I tell people, like, there's a lot of books that you can read and realize a lot of stuff that we see isn't real. And it's scary.
But we also have to take those books, and we have those books have to spark us to go back, because sometimes those books, you have to understand his story is the person who won. You can have something written in a book, and then you can ask your grandmother who was there, and she gonna have a total different story than what's in that book versus
100%.
Right.
100%. Yeah.
So I read a lot of books. Like I've been fascinated with history just as a whole ever since I was a young boy. But we started talking about world history, Gilgamesh, and different things, and then you start like my man Dick Gregory. Dick Gregory used to, whenever you watch his interviews, he'd get mad when somebody say something that's in a book, and he'd tell you, "Hey, that's not how that went. I was there."
Right.
Yep. I was there. Yeah.
To be honest, Dick Gregory was the president of the United States for 10 hours, but nobody talks about that. You know what I'm saying? Like, but knowledge was held by old people like my grandmama. It's just she'll burn herself on the stove, and she'll go out and cut some aloe and put the aloe like on her and just let it, and then wrap it up with a towel. It's just certain like healing and medicine that they knew just from being in the community of people. You know what I'm saying? And that community of those people started with family. So like I say all the time, just to go with what Dr. Chris said, it's the art of war. If we kill the men and the oldest born, we gonna take the women and children.
That brings me up to my next question. I'm glad you said that. Great segue. Why is the black male basically being erased from the family? What is
Because he's God.
What is the reason why? What imagery out there is causing that to happen? or what is being put into place, and what is this doctrine that's being spewed out, or what is going on?
I mean, you
It's
want to talk about it?
incentivized.
That's where we going.
That's where we're going. That's
We
where
going.
we there.
Take
Yeah,
us
I said we getting
homosexuality,
spicy tonight. We getting
homosexuality,
spicy.
and mixed race marriage. That's where we want to go.
We getting
Come
spicy
on.
tonight.
All right.
Drive us there, Remy. Drive us there.
I don't want to drive the car. I can ride. But I got something to say. But I mean, if that's where you want to go,
Let's go. Let's open the door.
All right.
every Pepsi commercial you see, there's a member of the community and he black. Or if you watch the Bank of America commercial, it's a white woman and a black man with a mixed child. Like there's no Asian kids, or there's no Italian kids, or Hispanic kids. You know, and I coined this term very loosely, but the Hispanic is the new nigga. Like they have a family dynamic and they'll work. All the work that we would do in the 70s and 80s, they're doing now. But because the black woman is so educated, and you know, the black man will sell dope. We don't want to take them jobs. So now we still the number one consumers on the globe. We have $1.7 trillion in spending power, but we don't have any type of institutions or legislation or politicians behind us because we can't hold on to our money because we don't have any families.
All right.
All right.
Bio.
All right.
Jump on the road in a Ferrari.
I'm gonna go to my point because I'm gonna say this real quick. One thing I would say: ego and accountability. There's a lot of things as black men that we ourselves need to do better at. Because I would say, as far as when it comes to awareness, a lot of things we talk about, we are aware of a lot of things, but we won't do what it takes to change it. We know what's going on in our communities. We know what's going on with our kids. We know what's going on with our families. We know certain things right from wrong. We know it's not right to sit there and pregnant 5 ladies. Let's be honest, and keep carrying kids on here. But a lot of damage is coming from trauma and things we never heal within ourselves. I think the biggest problem why the black man is helping himself get erased is because we won't deal with ourselves. We sit there and we look at the world, and at the same time, we can be victims, but at the same time, we have to take accountability for some of the things that we do. A lot of times, we're choosing not to go to school sometimes. We're choosing to disrespect the people who are authority and order figures to us. Granted, some of the things that we were taught, but at the same time, we cannot sit here and act like we don't lack awareness in some of the things that we do. Because I know a lot of us know what we're doing when we do it. But the reality of it, we love the validation that we do from some of these things we're doing also. We know spending our money outside the community ain't gonna bring it back to us. We know there's black designers out there. We know we have the power to change so much of the culture if we just find a way to get along with each other. You got people who hold on. This is my last point, Remy.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we got people who will beef another man over his words. I've seen a black man today getting killed. We dog from 18 to 49. The number one thing that's killing black men is homicide at a 24.3 rate. We are killing ourselves. So we sit there and watch Kevin Samuels go out on TV talking about the black woman die alone. We killing ourselves. That's why they're gonna die alone. If half of us in jail and half of us killing ourselves, at the end of the day, we can't get along with each other. So at the end of the day, some of the accountability falls back on us. I'm not saying that certain things out there not out there trying to trick us and try to put a system on this, but there's some accountability on us that we got to talk about also. Now, we have groups of men out there trying to come together and do positive things, but like you said, that image thing is fucking us up because the world looks at us as a thug culture. You know, kids in Africa, they think black culture is stuff they see in rap videos. They're not thinking about black engineers, rocket scientists, political thinkers. This is a whole continent who thinks a culture based off media influence that we don't, like I said, we don't have control over.
Yeah.
Certain things, the black culture is a thug culture.
And there's one more image that we hadn't popped on, but
I mean,
I don't know if we should go there. I don't even know if we should go there.
Yeah.
But I want to say,
go there, Bio.
if I may say this right quick,
Yeah.
you know, a lot of us are we have a Bible background, and God in Genesis, the New International Version says that we were created in His image, but the real word says we were created in His likeness. And if you guys will go to Greek mythology, I think if you have seen the movie Clash of Titans, when Zeus told his son, he was saying that if man doesn't pray to us, we lose our power. A man, we're gonna start with a man, but we're gonna say the black man, which is God, because we were made in his likeness. Think about those marriages or those black families that stay together with a woman. Thank you, baby. You did good. I appreciate you. My husband, my man, your father, and you have those kids that say, you can't beat my daddy. The black man doesn't get his flowers, but you want him to heal trauma that he can't heal, but he doesn't get any type of accolades for healing the trauma. We built this bitch for free. Every invention, every listen, those black folks that we talk about, it's 10 people that we talk about every February. The same 10 folks. George Washington Carver, Lewis Latimer,
Martin Luther King.
Do
y'all know?
Do you know that 90% of the inventions that we have today were built by black people and white people stole the patents and got credit for it? Like, if we're gods, praise us as such. So because you don't have any reason to heal the trauma if nobody even wants to even if nobody wants to acknowledge. Every time you come up a notch, you come up a notch. The black man ain't shit. The black man don't stay at home. The black man got 5 or 6 kids. The black man, well, damn. If I continue, if you keep telling me that I ain't nothing, then why would I be something?
I was about to get to the next point. You're right, Raymond. Because at the end of the day, and that's what I was talking about, the negative connotation of it. We have a lot of negative connotation that beats at us every single day, to the point that everybody's not strong to know how to, like we talked about earlier, Chris, telling people what to think and teaching people how to think are 2 different things. When you teach people how to think, what's being pushed at them won't affect them. So the problem is we do have more followers than leaders. Let's be honest with that point.
Yep.
So Remy, at the end of the day, what you said is very true. If somebody's constantly pushing you down, tell you ain't shit, and that's what's going on with these little black boys today. I promise you, if you go to some of these schools and see some of these little black child, the person that's telling them that is the person that's in the home with them. So a lot of these kids are growing up in their homes where their parents are telling them they ain't shit. And a lot of us, we refuse to believe that. But I'm telling you right now, some of this, and now, family is great and important, but I'm telling you right now, it's starting with these children. The reason why some of these children want to be some of these men is you got to see what the hell's happening to them in their household. And if you think I'm lying, when you go to some of these juvenile detention centers, you'll find out some of these kids are getting burnt with cigarettes, parents on crack. The mother and the father wasn't at home abusing these kids verbally, physically, emotionally. That's why I tell people all the time, well, y'all tell these black little boys, oh, how you gonna grow up? You grew up with a black mama. There's not every kid that grew with a black mama loved them. Some of these boys grew up in homes that were their mothers were shit.
One Black Friday, my mama broke my nose at Walmart because I couldn't get a TV. Like I'm like, but my grandmother had a stroke. My grandfather died. My mom watched her brother die in the bed with her. You know what I'm saying? It was a lot of trauma. Not to mention, my mom had me when she was 19, so she was trying to grow up and deal with trauma at the same time. You know what I'm saying? Like it's so many impacting factors.
Yeah.
In the development of a child. We got 48,000 ancestors. Each person has 48,000 ancestors. So to make one person. So it's 48,000 people to create one person. So that trauma then gets embedded in your genetic codex. So sometimes you may be acting out about something that you haven't experienced in this lifetime.
Indeed.
So we have to start giving each other flowers, man. If we don't.
Wow.
Big Chris, T-Baby, what y'all got to say about that?
I'm ready for that.
T-Baby, you want to go first?
No, go ahead, Doc. Go ahead.
Oh, all right. I don't want to quote something I got in Spider-Man, but it's the truth. With great power comes great responsibility. like what Bayo was talking about, just being responsible, what's going on. What we're seeing right now, we don't get this much attention because we have no power. People know exactly who we are. It's just we have to find out what they know about us. People have been studying us for centuries. I mean, running tests. I mean, burning your history. They found out about us. They found out about us a long time ago. That's the reason why you have to separate the father from the son, so nobody gets that information. That's what a lot of people don't understand. If you don't understand warfare, all of this stuff gonna look like we just leaving and we ain't nothing. You see what I'm saying? Warfare never stops.
A man child with a woman, she could ruin that child. That's why when they used to get 13, they'd take them off. The boys would go with the men. And
this is the issue. Boys who don't have their father end up being husbands before they're men. I'm gonna say that again. Wow. A lot of boys who are stuck in their homes without a father, they end up being husbands before they even become a man. And see, that's what a lot of people don't understand. The reason why some of these boys don't want to be married is because they've been husbands for 20 years already.
Yeah, it's called a
they already know what it is. They already know what it is. They've already been disrespected by their first wife, which in some sad cases is their mother.
Their mom. Yeah.
It's their mother. And I'm not even pointing the finger at her. I'm pointing the finger at the situation. See, instead of pointing at each other, I would love to point at the history of everything. If we don't understand the history about it, we're gonna be fighting each other. And that's the issue. Some of us don't know how to handle the things that we went through, right?
Don't touch on
and we have a very bad habit of taking our anger and our frustration out on people that weren't there. you see what I'm saying?
Like
so
your
whatever exactly. So, but not only that, we take our trauma and put it in a renewal relationship with a new person, don't even know what the hell happened.
Right.
So now we abuse that person. Now that person's scared. They passed on like a baton at a 4-leg relay. And that's the reason why we running in circles in our relationship. We just passing on the baton of hatred and just pain and trauma and triggers. We're just passing triggers along and people pulling them.
Generation after generation.
At generation after generation. Now I'll say this. One thing about, and I know Remy was talking about these different images. Man, integration is a very peculiar word, but now I start, instead of only saying integration, I started using the word dilution. We were diluted. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't just people just integrating. It was something so strong that got diluted. If we start understanding that we were diluted, we may start understanding exactly what happened to our family unit. Because you don't just go from marriages to all of a sudden things get obliterated and you don't know where this stuff come from, right? Because we got to understand this. When put like this, when that civil rights movement was happening and all of the major things were going on in the 50s and 60s, that's when TV was really started popping in the newspapers and all of that, right?
It were families.
They not only the families, but look what was going on with the men. They were murdered almost every week. It put like this, instead of the old days when the public lynchings was popping off, when you had to go down a sidewalk, you could open up a newspaper and see a dead body. I mean, you got people sending out postcards and Christmas cards with lynchings on them, y'all.
But you know what?
This is what I'm talking about.
You don't hear about too many women getting lynched, but we was getting lynched 70, 80 years.
And some of the women were being lynched for protecting the men. Yeah. That's what I've been seeing and hearing. Some of them wouldn't even give up where the man was, and they would just take the woman trying to trap him because they knew he would come back to help her. Y'all understand? Warfare is warfare. A lot of people get killed in warfare, casualties of war, right? So when they're trying to overtake a certain type of people don't care who died. I mean, our children will be getting fed to alligators, man. Our children would let's be honest. And I'm not telling you we don't have any responsibility, but if we don't understand historically what we're dealing with, we're gonna repeat it. That's all I'm saying. And my last point is this. A lot of people build their homes from the materials from our broken homes. I'm gonna say this again, I watched it. A lot of people build their mansions off of the materials from our broken homes. The first warfare was always between the have and the have-nots. Everybody knows that man is the protection or provision of the family. It's not just money. Manhood is older than money. And a lot of people, until we start admitting that, we're gonna be running in circles again. Manhood is way more meticulous and strategic than having somebody who can print something off. You can't print off manhood. You can't.
Gotta be in
It
you.
is something, it is spiritual, it's coming from a higher power. And when people don't understand it, people fear what they don't understand. And that's the reason why we're not accepted in the households, we're not accepted in the schools, we're not accepted in corporate America. Until we start being honest about that, we're gonna repeat it. I'll leave it at that. T-Baby, it's on you.
I'm floored. But y'all go ahead, because I'm just, oh my God.
Okay, I wanted to go right there from that point, talking about the family to actually going into education, being that you're an educator, Chris. And then I guess I'm gonna go here. Has the educational gap in the Black community, I guess, been bridged with, let's go and say it, with Caucasians, our counterparts? Not really our counterpart, but
you said has it been bridged? What do you?
Has the gap, the education gap been bridged?
With education?
Oh Lord, no. Actually, based on, hey, listen. Well, first of all, let me bring context to this. I haven't been to every school, so I can't speak for everybody. I need to just say that, so I won't add any confusion, right? Based off my limited experience and some of the research that I've done, the concept, when we start talking about our society, historically, our society has been ostracized, not only in society, but in the school system, right? If we still have an achievement gap, the reason why we still have an achievement gap is because we're not really being honest about the resource and support gap, period. You see what I'm saying? We have a standardized, put like this, we have a standardized test, but we don't have standardized support. That's the trap. That's trap music right there. Because how can I have a SAT at the very end in order to get into college, but everybody does not have to learn the exact same thing? That's already, we're playing a rigged sport anyway. And I tell people all the time, there's a difference between school and education. School is the sport. School is the sport associated with education. Education is freeing. You can educate yourself without going into a system, but as soon as you're going into a system, you're dealing with codes. Every single one of our race categories are codes. It's been like that ever since 1790 in the 1600s, and the Anti-Miscegenation Law and the Naturalization Act in 1790, when the census started. They came up with these census categories to make sure they can target certain populations to make sure they don't get any resources. Those same categories are used in our education system today. The reason why you have the resource gap and the achievement gap is because the system works fine. It is doing what it's intended to do. And I will tell you this, I'll leave you with this one little thing. If you understand the root of a tree, you won't be confused by the fruit of the tree. The reason why we keep looking at the achievement gap is because we don't even understand the gap called the United States. I'll leave y'all with that.
Wow. Yeah.
Thoughts, Bio, Remy, T-Baby?
As far as one thing, I've been trying to study more the education system and what's going on. Like, as we see what's going on right now, we see a big left field happening with education. A lot of teachers are leaving the educational system. A lot of people feel like they're not either being compensated or they're not being respected by the administration. So they're leaving these spots. And what's going to happen is, the scary part that I think of at times is that if there's such a mass influx of teachers leaving, they're going to start getting anybody to teach these kids. And that's what's going to happen. The areas that's going to get affected the most is going to be our communities. Because when people start saying, oh man, I can't deal with these guys, you hear it every day. Man, these kids are bad. I can't deal with these kids, man. These kids drive me crazy. They're not passing tests and everything else. One thing, if you actually talk to some of these little children, they want to learn. I'll be real with you, they want to learn. But we, like when he talks about the racial gap and everything else, so we have to understand that little Black boys and girls may need to learn in a different style. I'll say that. Because I feel like our home exposure, our life exposure is so much different that you can't fit it into, like you said, a standardized way of teaching all these kids, you know. And I feel like personally, with this mass leaving of the education system, it's just going to get much worse for these kids, because you're going to
let it burn up then. Because one thing, like we did when we were slaves, we weren't supposed to we weren't supposed to have school, and we end up having our own school. Everybody was in one classroom, and we had one book. and we had mathematicians and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Like those girls that what's my lady name who Taraji P. Henson played?
Somebody Hidden Figures.
Yeah.
Mhm.
At her school, from kindergarten to 10th grade was all in the same class. So and she was able to do math to get us in space. Like Black people always, like Madam C.J. Walker invented the washing machine because a nigga got tired of scrubbing her hands on the
Washboard.
washboard. You know what I'm saying? So whenever there's a need, we are the most innovative people on the globe. We gonna figure it out.
Right.
And I'm
So
let-
do we have that thirst and that zeal for education anymore like we had back then?
Well, no, it's changed, but you got nieces. See, baby, you got cousins. Them kids gonna be on YouTube all day.
Right. You're right. You're absolutely right.
But one thing I want to say is that I partially agree with Remy, but I think what we have to understand, if we do allow these places to burn down, the world's not going to slow down for us to catch up. And I think what we have to realize right now, the world is moving at a way faster pace, and the advancement of technology is moving so fast that we need to do something for these kids right now. Because I'm going to tell you right now.
Why don't we make them technologically, industrially sound? Why don't we get back to trades and skills, mixing the technology with the industrialization? Like why?
Yeah, and I agree with you, Ram. But at the end of the day, we have to find a way to these kids to have a love for it in overall in general. Because when it comes to learning, like that guy, Drill, and y'all probably know his name, that white guy with the school.
I know you're talking about. I know he's talking about.
Yeah.
I don't remember.
But those kids, they have really great STEM program. What I'm saying in general is that we have to find a way to make these kids.
You talking about the Ryan Academy? Ron Howard or something like that. Yeah, but his entire staff, 90% of his staff is Black. He's just the white face.
Exactly. So what happens is, what I'm saying is that we have to understand where the world is moving to. Like we talked about before, the STEM is where the world is moving to. That's why people are trying to learn robotics and coding and everything else like now. You have jobs now that has nothing to do with anything, but they want you to know some kind of technological advancement. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, we know where the world is going. But when it comes to these kids and these people who actually want to learn, we have to be able to push them and to understand, all right, this is where the world is going. We got a metaverse coming. We have all these we need Black children in these spaces. Because like I said before last time, as an engineer, I'm the only, at my job, it's just me. I have
But Black students are visual. You can't go in there with no suit on. You need to go in there with the latest J's. You need to go in there with a wad of money and say, hey, this is what I do. And it's legit. Because if you don't, Ray and Pookie at the block gonna be telling them, hey,
Remy,
hey, you want to sell these rocks?
Remy, before, no, Remy. Go ahead, man. I got a counter to that. What you about to say? You said you got to do this coming with some J's. Now, what I'm telling you, what you just said was just exposure. What I talked about is the pre-exposure. You have.
Well, I'm saying, you said you have to do something that they like to do. What I'm saying, visually, you got to have their attention now. Because
exactly. But if he don't know about Jordans and a water cash, you can captivate his mind before he gets to that stage. That's what I'm talking about when I said these kids.
But what Black child, they know about that first. They want to be a rapper before they want to rap a rap song before they can walk.
But Remy, every child is not like every Black child is not.
I'm talking about the multitude. I'm not talking about all of them. Like we have to do things because you can't
generalize every Black child though.
Yeah, because
I can generalize every Black child that's mechanically inclined. Every Black child that I know will pull out a game and not read the instructions and they can play it.
All I knew growing up with Will Smith.
That's it. Like my parents, I just was never exposed. I ain't never seen a pair of Jordans until I was like in middle school.
But when I said that, whatever space that they are, you have to intrigue them where they at and tell them that it's something different opposed to what they have an example to at home is what I'm saying.
So, but who are the kids' first teacher, Remy?
The parents.
Exactly.
So if you don't show any similarities to the parents, then they don't want to hear you because your debonair or your accomplishment just seems so far away.
I can tell you what I seen when I went in. What I had to learn for the few years I've been doing, I've been volunteering since I was in middle school. and doing peer mediation and whatnot. But when I started getting older and whatnot and started looking like a parent and all of that with the gray hair, what I had on did matter. But instead of what I just had on, I did have to go in there and talk to them directly before I started acting like I knew exactly what was going to get them. Because anytime when I went in thinking that I already knew them, it backfired horrendously. And this is
I'm
what
a
I'll say.
product of the Boys and Girls Club, so we always had different interaction. Like I've met Denzel Washington several times, and even when his son used to play for Morehouse and he would come to Albany State, like he always came real. He didn't never come like, hey, I'm Denzel the celebrity. He always came
No,
just
that's
like,
what I'm saying.
yeah.
That's exactly what I'm saying. What I'm saying is when I came in, I had to leave that Dr. Pugh stuff at the door, right? So, but this is what I couldn't do. I couldn't come in with the J's and the money, because I understand what you're saying. Some of them kids want that. The first day I come in there, regardless of what I had, I can't come in assuming that I already had what they liked. The first day I had to sit there and I had to say, y'all need to teach me what you like.
Right.
Because when I used to come in there with the stuff already ready, they already thought I stereotyped them and some of them shut me off.
Mm-hmm.
You see, that's all I'm saying. Some of them liked it. The other ones like, I don't rock with J's. My cousin was killed over some J's. So you can keep them. You see what I'm saying? So
kids
I had
smart.
to come in.
They
yeah. So, but also too, remember, when I go into those schools, they already had so many different people who don't know them. They tried to trick them into trusting them, right? And so when they see one of them come in, if I ain't genuine, they ain't listening. So the only thing I couldn't come in with no gimmick at all. I had to come in humble, I had to come in genuine, and I had to come in listening, period. So when I come into those schools, and honestly, put it like this, when I come into those schools, they've already ostracized those kids and gave me the bad kids, which all of them look like me. So when I come in, they already think I'm the police. They already think I'm a lawyer to try to scare them half to death. They tell them they're going to be in dead end jail. They're like, when I walk in the room, the first thing they ask me is what we do. So I'm like, you're already looking at me tensed up. And I said, you didn't do anything. Actually, I asked for y'all because I heard y'all were some of the best leaders on campus. They're looking at each other like, all right, we need to drug, but you got to say it because they never heard it. That's the shock and awe. Because if you start talking about what's inside of them, as opposed to what they can wear on the outside of them, they know you talking directly to them instead of their vices. You see what I'm saying? Their vices don't last long. Don't get me wrong. I get it. For the short term, it works. For the long term, it backfires based off my specific experience. It's not true for everybody. But I had to come in genuine. I had to come in and learn.
Swing it like a double-edged sword. You got to do both.
Yeah. Well, I'll put it like this. I just had to do what works. I don't do anything until I find out what works.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying when I say do both, I mean do what works.
Yeah, because if they say, look, man, you need to come in, like, put like this. I'll come in the first day of class, I'll come in there and say, all right, who y'all listen to? They're like, what you talking about? I said, name the rappers. Who do you listen to? And so they'll start, all right, we listen to Lil Baby. We listen to The Baby. They start naming them, right? I say, give me the song. And so when I go home and listen to the song, but I also print off the lyrics and go what they listen to, but also teach them literacy based on what they've been listening to. So I have to meet them where they at, but also they have to learn what I'm trying to teach them. So I get what you're saying, but I just can't come in there with the trap, trap them into the, hey, I got what you like.
It was
I'm not talking about you.
I wasn't saying it like that. Yeah.
No, you didn't say that. I'm not saying what you're saying. Yeah. I'm talking about how some of the teachers will say, can you get them to start dancing? I'm like, I'm not here. They don't dance no more. All they do is read. Like, I'm not here to entertain the children. We got to educate them. But go ahead.
I got a question though. We're talking about going on their level and being real with the kids. When did I don't want to say that. I guess I want to say I don't remember or recall when I was growing up any teachers having to do any antics or do anything like that. They just taught we sat there and listen and learn.
We was the last generation that do what you're supposed to do though, Jarrell.
But that's the point of my question though. Where did that change? Like, why do we have to do these antics? Why do we have to do all this? Why has behavior gotten so bad in the classroom that teachers don't want to teach with our kids?
based on what I've seen, the overall societal behavior has dipped, and the children are mimicking what they're seeing the adults do. One thing I had to find out, it ain't all just the children. The children do what they see. So if they on social media seeing adults fighting, they're gonna fight in the schools. If they see adults doing all type of like sexual acts or whatever, because let's think about this. Kids are on Twitter. Twitter is the new adult site now for a lot of people. A lot of people don't know that, but they got access to too much stimuli. Children are overly stimulated. It put like this: I would not know what I would have. I mean, what kind of person I would be if I had a smartphone in '93. In 1993, during Freaknik, if I had a smartphone, you will not know me. I will be somewhere in a.
I was telling my mom that the other day.
We had too much. Put like this: a pager was just enough distraction we needed in my era.
Well, we had more.
Right?
We had more talent then than now. This like we had more to show. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like
you were forced to do your talent because you had less distraction. Remember, you had to go outside and talk to people. You couldn't tweet a person. You had to go to his mama house. You had to speak to his grandmama before he could come outside.
We'll go to the computer lab. We'll go to computer lab once a week. Now the kids got it. It's right here in their hands.
They got it right there in their hand. It's
right. And this is the thing. We've traded social skills for social media. That's the issue.
Correct.
Social skills left, and we replaced it with social media. And some people think social media is social skills. And you got kids now that can't type unless they use both thumbs. That's where we at. I had some college students to say today, right now, I don't know how to type. I have to do my homework on my phone. I said, interesting. That's why it takes so long to do.
Listen,
but this is where we at.
So you remember when your parents would have their friends over? Oh, y'all go in the room. You can't come out here. Grown folks talking. Mm-hmm. You got kids now that are on social media. First of all, me and my mom, we 36, 37 years apart. My mama is my friend now. But back then, me and my mama weren't friends. We weren't homegirls. I couldn't imagine being on social media friends with my mama. And her
with your mama friends, yeah.
Right. Like now, these kids, they meet you. Oh, I'm gonna add Miss T Baby on social media.
Yep. No, you're not.
Add my mama friends on social media. Now I cringe when I see somebody that knows my mama on social media. I gotta taper it down a little bit because Miss Such and Such gonna call my mama if she sees something on there. That it's like these kids now, it's adults being friends with kids. These children showing they behind because, like Dr. Pugh said, your mama all on social media arguing, cussing, left and right. These are what these children are seeing. They're being brought up to us now.
Not to mention, but I seen your mama, but your mama booty was on the ground last night. Right?
Exactly.
It's 14-year-old boys at school. Oh, I seen your mama video. She up there dancing and doing that. Man, come on.
T-Baby, check this out. I had a young man ask me to mentor his father because his father kept getting him in places where he could lose his life. He said, yeah, my dad got a temper problem. He almost got us killed at a cookout. Can you mentor my dad?
What?
And I ain't know, I'm serious. Now, trust me, I do jokes, but that last one was not a joke. That was like, so serious.
It's crazy. It is crazy. Like,
but I think at that point though, Dr. Pugh, I think you said something profound in that small conversation there. I know coming up, you had the Reverend Jesse Jacksons and the Al Sharptons always talking about we got to do the kids. Mm-hmm. We need to focus on that age bracket 17 to 25.
Them folks right there changing the world. I'm telling you. To the point where that generation you just said is the reason why some people leave in their neighborhoods.
Right.
Because they can't even go home because them folks outside of folks' house.
Listen,
straight up.
I want to just, two things I want to say, two stories real quick. I don't normally say too much. I'm just letting y'all speak but by the teachers. I talk to a lot of teachers. I used to deal with adolescents with behavior problems and talking to teachers, man, of all ranges, ages, 25 to 60. Man, I had one teacher tell me a student, elementary school, young girl, found out she had allergies, came to school in perfume she knew would trigger those allergies. This teacher literally had to retire. This stuff messed her up so bad that she literally, her sinus infections and sinus were so messed up, she wasn't able to teach you. She was in so much pain. This little kid, elementary school. I was like, really? That vindictive?
It's off the
That
chain.
vindictive?
Mhm.
And I used to work with HUD and work with adolescents, the age range you were talking about, Remy, 17 to 24. When I tell you I encountered so many children, and it was in Albany, and it's a rural area, a rural city. So the definition of homeless that HUD put out was more, for urban.
Well, you got the highest rate of homeless kids under 10 years old in the country, bro, in Albany, Georgia, boy.
Oh, yeah.
And you got to think the rules were set up for urban cities, living on the streets, don't have a household. But the people I'm dealing with, they're homeless. They're living in a 2-bedroom house with 10 people.
Mm-hmm.
One person working. What we doing here?
Yeah,
And then the kids are having kids, not finishing school, not getting education. You see all these success stories. All these kids are going off and getting 100 offers to colleges, and this black young boy is doing this and he's doing this, but that's not the majority.
No,
That's the minority.
That's the very small percentage. A lot of these kids are not even making it through high school. They haven't put it
out there. They haven't put out there, but I know somebody that works for DFACS in Albany, and the child homeless HIV rate is the highest in the state because they selling themselves to get food because they homeless.
Yeah.
Wow.
And human trafficking is on a spike too. That's what a lot of people don't get. They are shipping children on the weekends, y'all. We need to really start thinking about that. You got some people picking up these kids to do all different types of stuff. They got human trafficking, I would say investigation units. All should be in every county. I'm not sure. I can't prove that. But there's a lot of different counties. If you really look up human trafficking, they got specific investigation units that work directly with social workers. And that stuff is real out here. Straight facts.
It's bad out here. It's bad out here. I don't even understand. I've seen kids, like you said, that have been in 2-parent households that want to be thugs.
Yeah.
Because they glamorize that stuff. I
talk to the parents. I mean, maybe they're lying. Maybe the kids lying, but the kids like, oh no, my parents give me everything I want.
Status. I'm gonna tell you what this, man.
Problem.
Status is a hell of a drug. I promise you that. Because you got a lot of
this
people.
Country's built off of power.
You got a lot of people who want to be liked instead of being valued. That's the issue. And see, I may value you, but I may not prop you up and blow your head up. Some people think you got to be celebrated in order to be valued. You don't. You have to be valued, period. You have to be respected and genuinely interacted with. You see what I'm saying? Some people think you have to have that limelight, and being real with you, I will tell you this is not the only issue, but this is a major one. A lot of people know that they're faking happiness on social media.
Yeah.
A lot of people are knowing it. And when we see so much fake happiness, I'm going to tell you something that I witnessed. I thought I was bugging, but I saw it. I saw someone crying, not crying, laughing, literally crying tears. Something happened. Wipe their tears off to have, I'm stunned on these folks them IG things that you be like, yeah, I'm out here having a ball. They wiped their tears, did a post, and then broke down crying after the post. And I sat up there, I was like, okay, this is where we at. Because right now, clout means so much that our mental health has been sacrificed. We're seeing it because now we're trying. Anytime we have to prove something, that means you ain't got it. If you're trying to prove that you're happy, anytime when you're trying to prove that you're happy, everybody know you ain't. But that is a dangerous game that a lot of people are playing, and a lot of kids are falling into that dangerous game. They're trying to prove that they're having it really, they're living their best life. And the people who are living their best life don't have time to post it.
Yeah.
They're having a ball. Because put like this, you ever be having a good time, you realize you ain't take no pictures.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because when you're in the moment, you don't feel like documenting. You ever heard somebody say we need to make a memory? You're too busy making a memory that you forget to make a post.
You don't have time to put that shit in your hand. You ain't got to get the light right. You don't have time to do that.
You ain't got it. You just in the middle of it because you enjoying life. You don't have time to prove
be
to
in
other
the
people
moment.
because right now we're still looking for validation. And anytime you're looking for validation, you're letting the world know you ain't valid.
Exactly. And just to hop off what Chris is saying, it's like a lot of the things that even from the young age, even to adults now, a lot of people are looking at their self-worth on the outside of them. Like I said, social media has its positive, but one of the most dangerous things about it is kind of like what Chris said. A lot of people want to prove to the world that, like you said, that they're happy. Now you have people want to prove to the world, even people who get on the internet and cry and show you videos and everything, which I think is crazy. But on top of that, it's another form of validation also. I mean, but it's a form of validation. But one thing I realized is a lot of people out here, if you look between the pictures, a lot of people out here screaming for help. And that's one thing I started to see now. When you hear certain parts of people, when you look at the things they post, you look at the type of pictures they take, and the type of status they make, it's a lot of people out here crying for help. And they don't know how to do it in a proper way, that they'll use social media as that outlet. And I'm telling people all days, you understand, like we talk about mental health. The most people I worry about the most when it comes to social media is be careful of your funny friends. The people who post the most jokes and stuff on social media, check up on them people.
They be depressed.
No, and not saying, well, whichever you two, Drew. But what I'm saying in general is that one thing I found out is that I've been some of my most positive friends, and I get to a party or a house party, and I sit and have a conversation with them, and some of them going through hell. And you'll never know through their social media. But when you sit and talk to people, because in our generation, we think checking up on people is checking their page. You know what I'm saying? And that's the reality of the situation.
Oh, well, they made a post today, so they all right.
And they not okay. And if you call their phone, you find out this person is probably going through it. They probably lost somebody, they probably depressed, their life is probably beating the hell out of their ass. But at the end of the day, we're not allowed, like Chris saying, we're not allowed, or we talk about people who show their downfalls on social media also. That's something also we need to talk about also, because you're not allowed to be vulnerable on social media. Let's be real.
I'm gonna be transparent. Yes, I'm a happy-go-lucky person most of the time, but I do suffer from depression and anxiety. I do. But I work through it. I take medication when needed because I realized I had a problem. And it's a lot of people that don't want to confront the problem.
I think every Black person suffers from high functioning depression.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's a trauma indicator where you're so used to things going wrong that you subconsciously prepare for it. It might go right, but if it go wrong, I'm prepared for it.
It's funny you say that, because that really started with me when I started working in the healthcare field. I was an emergency room tech. And that's all that surrounded me was like death and very gruesome, traumatic things when I was working. And at an early age, being in church, I used to sing at funerals. That's all I was doing, like for a stretch. I started singing in church when I was like 5 years old.
So that triggered something.
So when they realized, okay, she got a beautiful voice, I want her to start singing at a funeral. That's all I used to book back to back to back, was funeral after funeral after funeral. And it used to be like this adrenaline rush for some reason. But that is so crazy that you said that, because my depression got worse when I started working in the emergency room. You will hope for the best, but I'm bagging up bodies one minute. Then next minute, I'm seeing somebody birth a baby in the emergency room.
High functioning depression, it works in the background. You don't even
Yeah.
you don't even know it's like a program working on your computer or something.
Right.
It's working in the background.
Yeah.
Right.
And a lot of people
You are
may not
absolutely
understand
right.
that stress causes so much undertone damage in our bodies, period. And one thing when y'all talking about anxiety and depression, one thing that I've been educated on recently was there's such thing as social anxiety and social depression and neurological.
Mhm.
Some
I
people
got
have
social anxiety really, really
Right.
bad.
and when they come down to the nervousness, but the nerve damage, a lot of people got nerve damage and don't know it.
Mm.
So if somebody hearing this, you don't know what's going on, I would highly ask you to go to a neurologist just to get some stuff tested. You just don't know, because some of us have normalized, man, this is rough life. We just gonna have to persevere through it. I got to get my hustle on, get off my ass. You're a human being first before you hustle.
Correct.
Get your humanity on before you get your hustle on. Please do that, because
Trust
some
me,
of us are hustling. Some of us are
that black
hustling
high
like we
blood pressure.
racehorses.
That black high blood
Yeah.
pressure comes from high functioning depression. Like
Correct.
you just know. You just look. This is the way life is, and
Yep.
and you be so comfortable with it being fucked up that you
Right.
just be like, I'm just gonna go like that.
One day I had to realize I was going through so much at one time in my life. I had to just admit, I like, hey, this ain't supposed to be happening. When I just admitted that, man, something in my body it just balanced out.
Yep.
Because
It balances out.
it got to the point I was like, other people been through worse. Man, that is one of the most dangerous things you can say to yourself.
That's real
Because
fucked up.
everybody's life's so different. Just because somebody else went through something worse, you have no idea what they were prepared for. If you about to go through something you ain't prepared for, the damage is worse. So you can't compare your life to other people. I hope somebody hearing me when I say this.
Ooh.
Man, leave yourself alone.
Yeah.
Like, for real. Stop hustling for the sake of everybody doing it. Don't be trying to put stuff to your ear and just trying to act like, man, people out here trying to make it. Rich people still trying to figure out what life is about.
And they still commit suicide.
Your money ain't gonna solve your.
Hello?
Put like this. Your money is not going to help you find the reason why you were born.
It's not.
It's
not.
not.
People, like, society's got you thinking at 28 you're supposed to be a billionaire. Come on, man.
Hey, you print off. I feel like this. We killing ourselves over somebody can print off at will.
Look at that girl that just killed herself. Jumped from 94th floor?
America.
Miss America.
Yeah.
Beautiful. She was gorgeous.
Mm-hmm. And in
on
pain.
TV all the time. But you feel like you gotta be on all the time. There was nobody where she could go and just turn off.
Yeah.
Turn off, because society got you thinking you're supposed to be hustling. You're supposed to be out here getting it.
Yeah.
You can sleep when you die. Sleep when you
See,
die.
no.
Shit,
Nope.
I'm gonna take a nap today.
Polite. I tell you one thing I found out, that pep talk that, hey man, work hard, work hard, work hard. That was the same pep talk people used to give slaves.
Wow.
And people just remember that.
Right after they give us the cocaine.
Wow.
You understand what I'm saying? Get you high and say, hey, you need to stop being lazy. They'll tell you to work, but go in the house and enjoy the shade. But that's what a lot of people don't understand. The people that tell you have to work hard usually don't have to. That pep talk is something totally different, man. So I want everybody to just understand, working hard and working smart and working for longevity, those are three different things.
Yeah.
Please know that.
So taking in everything we're about to say, something kind of just clicked to me, because the main purpose we were talking about was family. The root of everything we just talked about, I think people can start to understand why we have some of the issues when it comes to our relationships, because there's a deep rooted, whether we want to stop lying to ourselves, there's a fear when it comes to the opposite sex that we don't want to talk about. Now, whether we want to sit here and say, oh, I'm a player, or I'm doing this, that, the third, or I don't want to fall in love, the root of a lot of things is fear. Like you said, some people are hoping for the best, but expecting the worst. You're meeting people with the aspect of so much fear and anxiety and trauma and depression that you can't really love somebody because you really don't even know how to fully love yourself. So at the end of the day, We want to get along with our counterparts, whether somebody's gay or straight or not. We've been through so much stuff that we think love is the most scariest shit in the world. We are scared. There are people who we are scared to love people because we feel like if we love this person is going to do us wrong. And the person may not have done anything at all, but we look at each other. That's why you see people that, man, oh man, all black women like this or all black men like that. And they ain't never even met all black women and black men.
But you know what though? But then there's psychological jargon that we use now that perpetuates that shit, like live your truth. If your truth is to hurt people, then you need to goddamn go over there in the corner until you figure out how not to hurt people, because the truth, your truth that you telling is a lie that you hurting people with. Like, be kind, you know, love is patient, love is kind. Like or I'm triggered or gaslighting. Like everybody got a LPC now, you know, and you just
mental health professionals.
Yeah, man, it's just like, yo, you couldn't even you ain't never did good in the spelling bee in school. So when the hell did you get so astute in literary jargon? Like
the biggest problem I'm gonna talk, Chris, just 15 seconds. Yeah. The biggest problem I have with a lot of people labeling themselves a lot of things, even though none of us are doctors, I'm gonna tell you right now, a lot of people are labeling people things just because somebody has a different opinion of them or a different experience with them. People are calling people narcissists, all type of words, just because somebody isn't giving you what you want from them.
Right.
Yeah.
And on that note,
But like this, hey, you labeling people is what you do when you don't feel like reading and listening. No, seriously. Yeah. Labeling is what happens when people stop reading and listening, because it's easy to do that. I'm gonna tell you how it's related. And remember, you said something so deep, because I see it in the education system. Do you know the education system is the only profession that is unofficially linked to the mental health profession? Because you got teachers who are diagnosing kids, then you got parents who diagnosing their kids don't even know what the hell's going on. They will bring their child, and literally, what a lot of people don't get, I'm seeing a lot of human trafficking from the parents. They'll come in and say, put my child on medication. And the child was just like, I just don't like you. but they'll come in and say, my child got ADHD. They start giving these diagnoses. And with the school will get money for having the kid diagnosed, so they're not going to fight you. They're going to be like, okay, we'll put them on medication, and see what happens is anything that's incentivized is going to modify behavior. Let's look at what we did in elementary school. We get that golden star because we were acting good. I'll put it like this. People get paid for doing certain things. Everything is incentivized. The reason why we're looking at certain things on social media, in our entertainment and education, all of that stuff, all of the things that we're dealing with, somebody's getting paid for it. That's one of the issues too, because we can talk about morality all day. Once we follow the money, we'll see why the behavior is what it is.
All right, I know we have one more thing we had to get to. Been a good discussion tonight. But I want to ask this one question, kind of like to wrap everything up.
It's gonna be ratchet too, ain't it? It's gonna be real ratchet.
Nah. Well, who you think?
They messing with you. It got to be one. He'd be like, so cocaine. How do we feel about it? I'm just playing. I'm playing everybody. I'm playing.
But let me get this. What do y'all think are some major factors? Because we've been talking about a lot of stuff. Money. We've talked about the man not being in the household. We've talked about family. We've talked about school system. What do you think are some of the, the major, things that are causing the most distractions in our community?
We don't know how to identify low-hanging fruit. And I'm gonna say it like this: low-hanging fruit is low-hanging fruit, but there's such thing as rich low-hanging fruit. And what I mean by that, we use a lot of distractions with money. Now, what I say money is an issue. Like I said, we need money to survive, but money should not take away your morals and values and not your identity. A lot of people are using the money to create an identity, like we talked about, Remy, everybody else said, without knowing themselves. So what happened is you got a whole bunch of people with money who threw away their morals, who just buying stuff to make up for what's going on. That's why you have situations, they're like people always say, oh, I need a man to buy me certain things, or I need a woman who got this. A lot of dudes out here who don't know themselves will replace apologies and conversations with materialistic things. If you're doing wrong, you mind somebody your bag. But instead of having a conversation about it, understanding, okay, listen, this is what's going on, this is who I am, you're replacing it with money. That's what I'm saying. You can have the low-hanging fruit, but the problem is we look over problems when somebody got some money. We look over the dysfunction when somebody got some money. We accept so much more when somebody has some money. That's my point.
That's
Money.
real.
The love of money is the root of all evil.
I can't go with that, T baby. Can't go with that. Can't go with that.
I
Ain't
knew
no
Remy
way.
gonna disagree with this.
Can't go with that. Nah, I'll go with
I
everything else. I can't go with the love of money because, boy, let me tell you something. I think there's levels though. I think everybody needs a date or to be with their level. Like you can't, and I'm not saying you working at Burger King, but you want to ride a Ferrari, but there's not even to agree with Kevin Samuels, but eagles fly with eagles, pigeons fly with pigeons, swans fly with swans. And that's okay. Somebody got to bag the groceries. Somebody got to cook the fries.
Everybody's needed. I get what you're
Right.
saying.
Right.
Right.
But what happens is you got all the pigeons on eagles.
That's hilarious. That was funny. I'm sorry. I ain't even know my mic was on. Hold up. Let me mute this. That was
It's true. It is true. I will agree. You do got some pigeons that want to be with an eagle. And I'm trying to figure out, but baby, you ain't there yet.
And that's both
But
sides.
But you know what? It is some eagles that do come down and they grab them a pigeon because the pigeon will listen to them. The pigeon you can mold the pigeon. That's how they feel. Some eagles do come down and get a pigeon now. So don't say
no. I just said it was. I said it was.
You can't turn no pigeon to no eagle.
No, you can't turn one into, but you can mold them if
you
they
throw
are,
it
if they
far
at that
enough.
pigeon level. If they at that pigeon level.
Well,
hey, if that pigeon got a filter.
The eagle, listen.
That pigeon gonna be riding that eagle back the whole time.
Well, the eagle wingspan, the flutter from the eagle you can fly in, you can glide in that. So you know you'll go up with the eagle.
But it's a few eagles that do come down and make and get with some pigeons. I'm just saying.
I can dig it. There's a black male, black female Civil War though.
Oh, most definitely. It is. You see it every day on social media. It's a black one. I don't need no man for nothing. I can do this. I can do that. All I need is my rose, and I'm good because my rose don't talk back to me. My rose don't lie. My rose ain't got 6 kids on me. My rose blase this, blase that. Look, I ain't knocking the rose, but I want me a black man. I want a man.
And that's what you call a woodpecker.
That's hilarious.
But you got some women out here who just feel like they've been conditioned to not need a man. They think, okay, no, I don't need no man. That's what we've been conditioned to do. I can raise a child by myself. I can do this by myself. I don't need this, that, and the other. I can do this by myself. I'm self-made. Baby, no, you are not. Somebody needs somebody.
I used to ask all the time, and I get when people say they don't need a man, I always ask them, no, you don't need a man for what? Because that's an open-ended statement, right? And I was like, look, you can make any statement that you want, but you got to be specific because you may confuse a lot of people, right? Because I'm a man, and I just had somebody put an engine in my truck the other day. He's a man. I needed a man to do that shit. Like, so when I be like, you don't need a man, please show me how you change your own alternator. I need to see.
I'm trying to figure out how do you say you don't need anybody? Everybody needs somebody.
But you don't need a man and your brakes sound like nails on a chalkboard. But I'm telling you.
That's hilarious. But this is the thing. Some of them are talking about emotion. They don't need a man's emotion. And honestly, some people, and I had to realize this too, there are a lot of people out in the world that are just they don't have great souls. So one thing I had to really, I'm not trying to be funny, but this is so real. I'm not surprised, and sometimes I'm actually supporting people not being in relationships. What I don't support is them going out deterring other people from getting in one. I see a lot of people who have really weird personalities that I can tell that you might need to, develop that for years. I don't, you know what I mean? I need to
Right.
like develop it. Like you got so many people who have not been told how to talk to other human beings.
Yep.
Period. They've only been taught how to talk, but they don't know how to communicate. You see what I'm saying? Communication is the art and the balance between listening and responding. Some people know how to yell and have expectations and then communicate disappointment. That's all they know how to do. And so when you get into a relationship and you refuse to listen and pay attention, you're not going to pass that class anyway. So it's a lot of people who have to have a lot of self-development before they even try to get into a relationship with another person. Because put like this, how dangerous is it to get in a relationship with another person when you don't even know who you are?
I think we need to have classes, black classes on how to be a good partner.
Straight
Bingo.
up. Some people ain't never played no team sports. See, I'll put like this. You got people who have never played team sports and don't understand that relationships and marriages are a team sport. Some people are so selfish. It's like boxers trying to play football. You've been on your own. You feel like everybody gets you anyway. So you're going to get on the team and fight your teammate. It's just really, really strange. And honestly, too, if they never seen it, because I put like this, I've met a lot of women, especially my clients. A lot of my clients have never seen someone cater to their man. So when sometimes people think that treating someone well, some of them actually look at it as a foreign language, y'all, because they just ain't never seen it. And at first I thought it was like, okay, you just don't want to do it. Then I start asking, I said, what did you see? Well, I ain't see nobody hug. Ain't nobody kiss. They ain't even high five. You know, they weren't even in the same room the whole time. And I was like, okay, so you've not been properly educated how to communicate with not only another human being, but especially the opposite sex. So do you know I have clients who are 40 years old, like, all right, can you teach me how to talk to another person? I wish I could make this up, y'all. I
believe you. I believe
it's
you.
people who do not know how to talk to other human beings. I wish it was strange. I wish it was different, but it ain't.
And it's just getting worse and worse. Like they're procreating, they having kids, and the kids don't know how to talk to each other.
A lot of people having kids for friendship. We're gonna have to talk about that too. Because put like this, some people can't get a friend who's their same age because people can see them for who they are, but they can convince a child that they're better than who they really are.
Oh, wow.
See, that's the issue. Yep. Some people are recruiting children, and if you can't get a child to like you, you'll have one just so they have to depend on your ass.
Right.
I've seen that too much.
Love.
You ever had somebody say, look, I need love. I'm gonna have me a baby. I'm like,
right.
For what? For love? So guess what happens? Some people have the baby. Like, you ever heard somebody say the baby owe them? And I said, damn, you ever gave a tab to a baby? That got to be confusing. Like the baby was like, I didn't order this. I didn't even really, I don't know what's going on. I owe you my childhood. Like, you know, it gets very, very strange. And the Oedipus complex Remy was talking about earlier, it's way deeper than we'll ever imagine, y'all.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm getting a lot of mothers. I'm asking them to divorce their sons. He's not your baby. He's not your man. He's your son. No, that's my little man. I'm like, ma'am, this is getting strange. I need you to know this. I need you to know this. And then you got the daddy right there, like, I've been trying to get him to stay with me. She won't let me do it. And the kid was like, please let me stay. I need some football.
But you'll kick your daughter out at 18, but you'll let your son sit there till he's 42.
Yep. Because
you don't want to be alone. My son ain't got sleep.
Wait, quick. Y'all, Chris, you've seen someone what T-Baby just said. Have you actually seen that before?
Bruh, I'm gonna tell you some wild stuff. And this man, I'm gonna just say it. I know somebody who has their son staying with them to the point where I saw something that I wasn't supposed to see. Yes. When people have their children staying a long, long time with them like that, some folks be in straight up relationships, bro, and you don't even know it.
It's sick.
That's where we at.
And then you got homes where the mother is jealous of the daughter.
Thank you.
My daughter is lighter than me. My daughter got longer hair than me. My daughter is more social and more personable and more likable than I was when I was 17. The boys flocking to her, but I couldn't get that male attention at 17. So here I am, 38, 42 years old, and I'm trying to compete with my daughter.
With the boys her age.
With the boys her age.
Yeah.
That is real.
Jay, the craziest shit, but I be seeing parents in the sand trap with their kids, bro. That shit blows my mind.
It blows my mind.
So y'all, and I'm telling y'all this, we be trying to figure out the children. And think about this: every time we talk about children, who we end up talking about, y'all?
Black folks.
Every time we mention children, them parents start seeping into the conversation. Don't I'll tell you this, and I tell people this all the time: it's easier to blame the children. It's the easy route. And one thing I had to stop doing, I had to pay attention to the children because I can't blame them for a world we brought them into. I just can't do it no more. Now I can acknowledge what they're doing. I ain't saying that children are innocent, but I can't blame them for the world we brought them.
But you can't blame them.
But shit, I mean, that was the biggest part.
I have a question for everybody.
For actions.
Going back to what Bio said, fear. Would you say fear? I wouldn't call it a distraction, but is it a part of it? Because I feel like what we're talking about are women are fearful. That's why they turn their sons into their little man. Are they fearful of being alone? Fearful of not being loved?
Well, it's taught to not be accountable. Like, bro, the reason the whole thing that happened with the art of war that Chris was talking about is and this is gonna be unpopular opinion. But the reason that the black man is in a position in this generation, what it is because of the black women in the 80s.
That's true though. That's true.
We are the fatherless children that was raised by the dysfunctional mother who was surviving, who was hurt, who was trying to still get her groove back, trying to figure that shit out. And a lot of our male parents raised men that they don't want to be, that they wouldn't date.
And a lot of people date who they think they deserve at the time. And a lot of people chose people. A lot of people chose people. And let's be honest, a lot of people want to act like they deep and they about as deep as a bottle cap. Some people basically chose to procreate with people who made them feel good or made them feel like they had status at the time. And
there's a lot of men our age that hate our mothers, bro.
Straight up.
Like subconsciously, not like you'll do anything for them. You know what I'm saying, in the forefront, but subconsciously, you'd be like, man, you'll be dating a woman, you'd be like, man, you just like my mama.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
It's
Exactly.
real. It's
exactly.
real.
But Remy, you need to be quiet now. Be quiet,
No, he telling the truth.
Be quiet,
he telling the truth. And I put like this, can I add to what Remy was talking about earlier? One thing I did find out too, is some of my clients are really saying, they're scared of men because now that a lot of women have been told how to put up a front for a long, long time, and a lot of them are getting exposed for who they really are, and it's uncomfortable. They're scared that people are literally.
But that's what we were talking about in the chat. That's what we was talking about in the chat.
They're literally, and don't get me wrong, it's not just women, it's people who have been fake their whole life. Exactly. It's hard to get in a relationship when you've been a fake person your whole life. Because when you get in a relationship, it's certain stuff you cannot hide anymore. That's the reason why it's easier to say, I ain't never getting no man, because if you get one, he gonna see you.
He's going to reveal you.
He's gonna see you.
You don't keep your house clean. You only take a bath once a week.
Right.
And stuff like that.
And think about this. It's easier to date a dude who does not meet society's requirements. Like if he ain't got no job and all of that, that's easier to date him because you can complain about him. You can control the narrative because he ain't meeting the standards. The reason why you not finna date a dude that got his stuff together is he is going to see you. He's gonna notice everything about you because of some of the things he's gonna expect. No one taught you how to do.
Ain't that what the message was? That's what we just talking about.
That's embarrassing. It's embarrassing. And listen, put it like this. Some people don't want to be in relationships because it's embarrassing because they don't know how to do basic stuff. I just talked about they don't know how to talk to people, right? Some people don't even know how to cut onions. Some people don't.
And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. The black woman holds the narrative. I mean, she is the key
That's
to
true.
everything.
The narrative.
The
That's the
entire
one that's the one who got the microphone. Black, ain't nobody listening to black men. It's the first year.
we've never had we listen. Back in the day, Granddaddy didn't say nothing. He got home, he gave grandma the check, and he sat down in his chair. She brought him his food, he didn't say nothing. But whenever he did speak, the whole house got quiet. Ain't nothing changed. It's just what's happening on the microphone has changed. And Uncle Sam, good old Fox, ABC, has now told our women what to say.
Right.
Me Too, feminist move. Listen, black women we have no business in the feminist movement. That shit don't even pertain to us.
I don't.
All the responsibility been yours since the beginning, boy. Mammy ran the plantation. What you got to be a feminist for? A woman that has to fight for her rights is a woman who can't do shit. Slave master wife. She didn't have nothing to do. That's why she got to fight for rights. She didn't do shit. She didn't know how to do shit.
Whoever came up with that shit, I'm mad as hell.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am so mad.
It's
I will
weird.
continue to tell it everywhere I go. Whoever started that equal rights with women, I want to beat your ass. Because
wait. So I want to get this right now.
Yeah.
I want to get this right. I just want to get this right. Are you saying that black women already have the knowledge and power?
Yeah. Always have.
I just want to make sure we were saying it right. I just want to get exactly what we were saying.
Since the beginning of time.
We done messed up. Now we can't even find no man that make half as good as money as we do. But you want him to be the leader of the house. How? How can he lead? And we out there marching, trying to be to be equal to him. I'm never going to be equal to a man. I don't want to be equal to a man.
Because you're supposed to be interdependent, not codependent.
Correct.
Interdependent. There's things that a woman can do and the things that a man can do. And together we make a unit.
Right.
But if your dick big as mine, then what?
Hello?
Oh no, if it's more than one in the house, y'all gonna have that staff meeting.
That's where we messed up. How am I gonna ask a man to lead and be a man?
Because boy, let me tell you something. You can't tell a black woman with some money shit, boy.
You can't.
Let me tell you something.
And
if she don't like what you saying and she make more than you, boy, you can kiss that shit goodbye, boy. She gonna do what she want to do.
I found out this.
Go ahead.
Now I found out this. I'm gonna say it real quick. Some women are looking for equal rights. Some of them are looking for equal attention and equal status. That's the reason why it's not going to be the same. Men and women got specific attention on this earth because you got specific energy. The status is not going to be the same. That equality, good luck. You can have equal rights, but some people are really asking for equal attention.
Listen, boy, let me tell you something. The accountability, boy, Eve ate the fruit first. Yep. And then called Adam so he could come get the fruit, and then Adam got in trouble first.
Yep. Adam got different consequences.
That's what I'm trying to tell. Like that.
The consequence is different, baby.
You may not believe in the story, but you got to believe in the institution.
I really, with this talking, I know what next month is going to be. I'm gonna switch it. I already know what I'm gonna switch it up. I'm gonna switch it up. We have predominantly men. We'll switch it up to predominantly women and see what the outcome. I like this because this is already done what I'm gonna do next month. This is already 4-part series is being set up right now. Already.
You're like Russell Simmons of mess, bro.
Yeah.
You're like already visioning, man. We're gonna have mud fights, and we.
I mean, I think we definitely can run out a bowling alley and have like a battle of not necessarily battle of sexes, but the meeting of the minds between male and female to where we can have a good conversation.
Yeah. A good one. And let's come up with a solution. Let's stop saying it's your fault or it's my fault or it's his fault. Let's blame history and let's come up with a solution.
How about we have this? How we have a bonding of the sexes instead of the battle? We done battle.
Yeah.
How about we have a bonding of the sexes?
I like bonding.
Let's
Bonding of the
bond,
sex.
I like bonding.
and let's put the family as a priority again.
Yep.
Like
Family
we don't,
first.
you got, like, we've just gone so far away from that. Like everybody wants to have, like you said, everybody want to be acknowledged for what they do. Nobody
Mhm.
wants to come together and this is what we do.
Yeah, everybody want to be a fish congratulated for swimming. Well, you supposed
Right.
to swim.
Nigga, we all adults. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to pay
Do.
bills. You're supposed to take care of your kids.
It's
You're
weird.
supposed to pay your bills on time. That's what
I'm
you're
like saying, I
supposed to
bathed
do.
myself. You be like, boy, get out. I bathed myself. I don't need nobody to bathe me.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay.
One thing I want to say, man, I know every week I'm gonna give you my books, man. Just based off the conversation we had, I'm gonna put them in the chat for the people interested in just finding some books. The two books I actually want to mention today is the first book is called Conversational Intelligence. For people who actually have a hard time speaking with other people, or just dealing with the society in general and just dealing with others. It's called Conversational Intelligence. It's by Judith Glaser. And the second book I want to give y'all is oh dang, I lost it. Hold on. Radical Forgiveness. This book I'll say changed my mind. It's called Radical Forgiveness by Colin Tipping. I'm put both of them in the chat. Radical forgiveness is what we talked about today. First starts with forgiving yourself. Before you forgive others, you got to forgive yourself. And the process of the book basically puts you through a process and speaks to how much damage we put out within ourselves, because a lot of negative things we put out on the earth or to people are negative thoughts and things we've told ourselves. And that's one thing, a lot of things we don't really think about sometimes. Some of the images and stuff we're putting out in the world are certain things we told ourselves, so we believe it. So if you believe you something, you can push that out to word and make other people believe it too. I'm gonna post both of those books in the group chat, and y'all can pin it or send it to.
All right, any last words by we've been on here almost reaching our time. Any last words, T, Chris, Remy?
I enjoyed it. I'm ready for next week. You guys are like thebomb.com. I love to hear my brothers speak and know what you're talking about. And everybody is not fortunate to have the opportunities that we do. So I'm glad that we're sharing our experiences and we're sharing our knowledge of certain things. We could just get on here and blab about everything, but I'm glad we're talking about something real and conversations that need to be had, and we can agree to disagree. Mm-hmm. I ain't gonna lie, I come from that little Bible area, church area, but Remy, you have opened my eyes to a lot of things. One thing we can agree on is a unit, a family unit. So I'm glad we could agree on that.
Yeah.
Remy?
I believe in abstract thinking, because we have to see both sides of the coin so we can move forward and come up with solution, because thinking on one side of the coin has gotten us nowhere. I mean, we've been free 50 good years, and
we ain't free.
Well, for whatever they want us to believe.
Yeah.
And every year they try to call back some type of legislation that has to do with our rights or anything, so we have to start moving like, hey, I'm in a relationship with T Baby. I say this, and she may not like what I say, but it makes sense. She going with what I'm saying, and that's my woman, and she going. That will start putting politicians in place and schools in place and things of that nature, because you can't get a black boy, a black girl to sit in a classroom for 90 minutes and be still and pay attention to the lesson and sit 10 feet away from the board and all that. And then the parents, when they go to the conference, the teacher would try to pit one against the other and then put a narrative to say, well, we're here for the children. Lady, I just got off of work. I've been at work since 12:30 a.m. this morning. You know what I'm saying? Like I'm tired, because I'm just trying to keep the lights on, because I got 5 more children at home than the one you sitting here talking about. And what you want him to do? Because he won't stop talking. He passing all the tests. He might not be making an A, but he making C's. You know what I'm saying? Like, but he passing. Like it's so much in one space, man. And it's like they got us fucked up like really bad in that space because in our counterparts, the grandparents go to the parent-teacher conference. The grandparents have my bad.
We talking too real. The camera done went down.
The grandparents have a business. The grandparents are retired. They get to go volunteer. They in the PTSA. They in the booster club. You know what I'm saying? You don't even see Sally and Samantha until the end of the year. Oh, that's your mom? I thought your mom was that old lady. No, that's my grandmama. Like, it takes a village to raise a child, but it takes a community to spawn a nation. And we don't, you know what I'm saying?
That's
like,
real.
Man, we got to do something different, boy.
Appreciate that, Remy. Chris, last words for you.
I mean, I would just say, man, building a family is a team sport. Like, remember, we're just talking about. It's gonna take. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than you. But it's gonna take us. You know what I mean? I will say that this conversation was extremely enlightening, man, and the vibe was very, very positive. I've benefited a lot just being in the same room with y'all and interacting with a lot of people on the Wade On It group, man. So it's a lot of people from the Wade On It group that, yeah, we entertain each other, man, but it's a lot of people that care in that group. You know what I mean? So I just want to shout them out for being on the live tonight and still chiming in and proving us that y'all paying attention, because y'all didn't have to respond to none of this stuff. There's people on there like, yeah, this is good, this is good. So I wanted to give a kudos to them. Also, man, just if y'all have children or no children or around any children, regardless of what the media is saying and what your personal experience is saying to you, a child did not create the environment we brought them to. Just remember that. When you see a child, just do your best to just at least try to say something positive. You can't stay around them. They're too rowdy to be thankful. Leave some positive and give them space to grow. Sometimes, every child is not put like this, every child is not within our reach. That doesn't mean we can't leave something positive and get out the way. You see what I'm saying? I can't save every child because every child is not assigned to me. It's not about my ego. Some kids don't want to talk to me at all, but I can refer every child to somebody they rather talk to. So just because if you work around children, they rejecting you, it's not about you. They're just looking for the person they rather talk to. And you may be the person that connect them with it. All right. Last but not least, people can reach me on Manhood Mindset on Instagram and Twitter. You can go to manhoodmindset.com. Right now, I'm actually consulting not only children, but professionals, but I'm also dealing with couple consulting. The reason why I'm doing that is because a lot of the children that I'm helping, a lot of the things that are helping are being undone in the household for the lack of structure, discipline, and consistency from the parents. So if you some parents that you got a child that's good, but the household is a little rocky and you need some assistance, look, everybody need help. That doesn't mean you're weak, it means you care. If you know your household is ruining your children, reach out to me at info@manhoodmindset.com. I don't care if it's men, women, children, aunties, uncles, pastors. I don't care how long you've been doing it. If it ain't working, you need help. So please reach out. I get help every week. I got a therapist, I got a coach, I got a mentor. I still talk to my uncles. Trust me, people who help people get help. So you shouldn't feel any different. Much love to y'all, man. And last but not least, if you know who you are, you know exactly what to do.
Yes, sir.
I got one more thing, Jarrell.
Yeah. I'm gonna close it up.
I mean this from the bottom of my heart. Y'all plant a seed. Plant a seed. If you plant a seed, it will grow. Tell somebody somewhere, your friend, it's something good. If you just plant the seed, it's gonna grow. They may not get it when you tell them. Like Dr. Pugh said, they probably don't want to talk to you. But plant a seed in that person. Tell them something good. It will grow eventually. But you make sure you plant that seed. That's the only way it's gonna work.
True.
Go ahead, Bio.
I'm gonna leave y'all with this message. Dixie Pope, she was a free slave. And as a free slave, she bought her husband out of slavery. It's just so she can marry him. That man himself mouthed off and disrespected her, and she sold that man back into slavery. So what I got from that, y'all take care of each other.
That is just awkward. And that has undone so much.
And he logs off. Any love? Ladies,
It's a child right
That's that black woman again, boy. I'm telling you,
Yeah.
boy.
listen, black
Mario,
women,
you ain't even have to pull us out
we
like
are
that.
said before, black women have the most power and the most intelligence on this planet.
City girls is up forever for that, boy. What is you doing?
City girls
But
up,
now,
man.
for real though, let me close this out, man. Facebook
Damn,
Live,
I'm
wait on
tired of
it.
that nigga. You know what? I'm gonna sell him back to Master and go get you somebody. Yeah.
All right, Facebook Live, Facebook, wait on the show group. Appreciate you tuning in the chat, YouTube. Appreciate you all your comments and everything. Share this live on YouTube, please. Once again, hit the subscribe button if you're watching this. Hit the alert button for new content coming out,
How many
man.
viewers we had for Dr. Pugh tonight?
I don't even know. It was fluctuating.
We had 200 and some comments though.
Oh, that's what's up.
Anyway.
See that,
Part 2,
Hey,
we're doing part 3
Zero
next
comments.
Tuesday. Part 3 next
Collectively.
Tuesday. Next Tuesday, we're doing Where Are We Going? We're gonna have Aaron Gibson on here, Bio T Baby, Remy. I don't know, we might be able to bring Dr. Pugh back. I don't know. We're gonna see. We're gonna
It's
see.
next Tuesday night.
We can only have
Next
5
Tuesday.
people on.
We can have minutes I need.
Oh, okay.
We're gonna see if we can find Pat again. We lost him. His contract was signed, but he didn't sign up.
Hey, can we get some intelligent women? Y'all the highest educated people on the globe.
We good.
Damn, I ain't intelligent enough.
No.
That's hilarious.
Remy.
No, I get you. I get it, Remy. I get it.
Next month is a 4-part series. Not but women.
I got you, girl. I'm just saying,
I know where we finna go next.
I know where we finna go next week.
I have tried to get some women on here. Reached out to a couple. None has been able to fit on their schedule because our ladies are also mothers with children. So hey, that happens. Got to take care of the family. But I really appreciate y'all coming on. Make sure this will be on YouTube. This will be saved in the Wait on the Show group. If you go on YouTube and view it, make sure you share it. One person share it. If you view it, share it, man. Any way you can. Friends, family, mom, dad, uncle, cousin, kangaroos. Share it. Come back next Tuesday, part 3. Where are we going? Like I said, Aaron Gibson's gonna be joining us along with the same panel. And I appreciate y'all, man. Everybody have a good night.
And y'all be easy, man. Thank y'all for the invitation.
Thank y'all.
Sure.
It's been real.
Peace.